There are these real-time analytics giving us charts and graphs about the data that are flowing inbound, and then the dashboards that try to encourage us towards activities about what to do on it. They're being very prescriptive and saying this is the meaning of this data. And there are companies that are doing great jobs around this data. Some of these you might be familiar with, but just to give you a lay of the land of examples that we like. Take GNIP. Almost every social media monitoring or social media metrics tool that you use is probably getting real-time data from GNIP around the individual tweets and status updates and posts that are happening in social networks flowing in real time. Similarly, another company that's creating a lot of value is Splunk. This might be one of those IPOs in the tech industry that you probably haven't heard about. This is a publicly traded $3.5 billion company that's been built on the idea that you should have really good tools for searching large data sets in real time, generating dashboards and charts and graphs from it. Some of the folks that innovated and pioneered the first technologies for handling big data are part of the founding teams of a company like Cloudera. So that's a cloud service for managing big data without having to run all the infrastructure yourself. And then finally, just one of the most recent examples of very high value being produced is Bluefin. This company's not even 2 years old, had a very, very robust set of tools for analyzing social networking data from Twitter, from Facebook, other places, and seeing in real time not just what people are viewing on TV and what they're talking about in terms of their viewership habits, but even correlating that to other data sets about their interests and what they talk about. So you can find out things like whether Leno viewers tend to like Android better and Letterman viewers tend to like iPhone. Of course, that's very, very valuable, and naturally they were snapped up a few weeks ago by Twitter. But these are really large, at-scale companies creating a lot of value, and they're doing that first part of what we're talking about, the analytics and the charts and graphs and the dashboards, to give you the starting tools to understand big data. Now, those are great tools, but they're not the full solution. You don't necessarily know when you're using any of the current generation of tools, are you collecting the right data? Are you collecting enough data? And can you extrapolate from the data you're collecting to make meaningful understanding of the users that you're trying to connect with? This isn't something that's always obvious, but it's very easy to get distracted by real-time dashboards. So this is a great set of tools. Some of you might be familiar with this. This is the Chartbeat dashboard for your site that shows what it looks like when people are viewing your site. And this kind of visualization was unimaginable just a few years ago. It's amazing to see in real time how many people are visiting your site or viewing a particular page. But as powerful as that is, it can also be a distraction, because this doesn't tell you who they are or what specifically they're doing or how they feel about the content that they're interacting with. So it's just the first step towards that future of a better integration of these behaviors.
So today we have a real estate problem. There's a limited amount of real estate, and publishers and advertisers are fighting over every pixel. What they're trying to do is to optimize the yield over every part of that experience. And the challenge is each of them doesn't have the full set of data that they need to be able to do that. And so they're finding themselves at odds. The publishers should know a huge amount about their users today. Think about the sets of information that publishers should have, what you should know about how a user uses your site or your app. And then advertisers increasingly have a great deal more information and much better information because they have a glimpse about users, how they go across different sites, and how they click and what ads work. The publishers, they know who you are, they know what you do, they have the ability to know what you like. The advertiser knows where you go and where you've been. And somehow or another, each of them has a piece of this equation, and they need each other, just as they would need each other for anything else that they're doing. They need to connect their data. They need to find a way for the editorial and content side of the house to be able to use the data that's so critical to advertising. So the key question becomes, how do we create the connection to create better user and advertiser experiences from the data that each company has or each participant has? And how do we make sure they gather the data that's going to be needed? Because today, the advertiser has a lot of data, and the publisher has not constructed their business system yet to be able to capture that data. Just think about the promise of what could happen if both sides have more of that information.